Welcome to Obscured Reality with Mark and Stephanie. From UFO sightings to the lost city of Atlantis, from alien encounters to the living dead, each episode will leave you questioning reality. If you're ready to explore the eerie, tune in to Obscured Reality, where mysteries come alive.
Oh yeah, Obscured Reality, we're back. We are back, and we have a special show for you tonight. This is a groundbreaking, earth-shattering story that just came out, and you guys probably saw it. At least that's how it was marketed. This just came out Saturday, January 18th, 2025. We actually have two videos for you tonight. The second one you probably have not seen before, and I'm going to play that at the end. You're not going to want to miss it. It's going to follow along with what I have to say and probably what Stephanie's going to say, but we'll see. Stephanie's never seen this, I'm pretty sure. So we're going to start with the video, then we'll read the article. We'll look into this and see what allegedly is going on. Let's go ahead and bring up the video right now. All right. So before we start, again, Stephanie's not seen this. I'm sure she would have just said something if she had, just from looking at this. What do you garner just from looking at this before I play it?
This honestly looks like some discovery at the bottom of dark water, but I can also see where someone would be like, there's a face there, because our minds are always constantly looking for images of faces to recognize.
You know,
so
when this popped up, when it finally came out and I saw this,
and it kind of looks like it's barfing.
Yeah, when I saw this, it was just the still image before I had watched the video. The first thing that came to my mind was, is this the alleged face on Mars? Exactly what I was thinking, a face of some type. But it is neither of what you stated. Let's go ahead and start this video right now.
Previously unseen video obtained from a secret UAP craft retrieval program. This extraordinary footage clearly shows an egg-shaped object dangling in a sling below the belly of a helicopter.
Oh yeah, I was wrong. I shouldn't play guessing games.
Let's slow this down to take a closer look.
This isn't long.
That's an egg-shaped UAP suspended from a 150-foot long line. We're told the craft is about 20 feet long. The egg suspended in a cradle. And look how careful the pilot is as they bring their precious cargo into land. Let's freeze frame here to look at one of the clearest images of a UAP ever taken.
Clearest of
this is
UAP,
no blurry light in a distant sky. The source of the footage putting themselves at incredible risk to record this UAP retrieval.
Oh, yeah.
Look at how perfectly smooth the craft is. No markings at all. And no visible means of propulsion or way to see inside.
Every time I hear the word smooth, all I can think of is that
as it hits the ground,
brain
despite
sound.
being wrapped in the ropes and canvas from the cradle as it's dropped for pickup. The UAP's final destination still unknown.
Ooh,
Del Taco.
Still unknown.
Del Taco.
What? Okay.
Amazing food,
Well,
by the way.
what's going on with this video? What do you think so far before we go into this story here?
I honestly don't know, but I don't think it's a UAP, and I just have an issue with I'm like, 150-foot rope.
Well, we'll get into the issues. We'll let's read this, and then we are definitely getting into that.
I think it's just a military drop of some supplies or something in which it's a need to know, and whoever's transporting it doesn't exactly really need to know.
Good point. Let's pull up the article here. Let y'all see this. Share it right now. So, as we just saw, this is from Ross Coulthart. Okay.
Ooh, those eyes though.
He's News
Love
Nation. And, you know, I've kind of always taken him as trusted. He seems legit, but we'll go into that. So, full special whistleblower reveals UAP retrieval program, object caught on video. So, this guy's name is Jacob Barber. He had a storied career in the U.S. Air Force. Let's move on from Jacob. So, October 2024, this guy stepped out of the shadows. We're not going to read every single line here. So this is Jacob Barber. He says for the past 30 years, he's worked in both an official and unofficial capacity for the United States government and its partners in the intelligence community. I'm seeing patterns here. Some of these people coming out, they have to do with the intelligence community. Let's see. What he knows and what he's here to tell Congress could change the world.
Dun, dun, dun.
I don't know, man. We're in this rare opportunity, human existence. Let's skip that. So as we know, people like David Grush and Lou Elizondo have come out. Barber says he was part of a covert program that worked with alien spacecraft for years. News Nation, some of this is very important. News Nation checked Barber's records and confirmed that he was an airman in the U.S. Air Force who worked as an aerospace mechanic in the late 90s. He was also recruited into Air Force Special Operations, known as Combat Control. He would eventually go on to work in a non-official capacity for the Defense Department and the intelligence community. He was a highly talented airplane mechanic who was deployed on a number of presidential support missions. But Barber's no ordinary mechanic. Oh, no, he was not. Being recruited into the Air Force's Elite Combat Control Unit meant that he had a resume that reads like something out of an action thriller. So, he's done all this stuff: free fall, parachutist, helicopter pilot, expert marksman, recipient of a NATO top secret security clearance, blah, blah, blah. Okay, cool.
Okay.
Yeah. In addition to reviewing his official documentation, whatever that is, I don't know, other than this short video, News Nation spoke with 3 former special ops soldiers who corroborated Barber's credentials. Who are they? How'd they corroborate them? Okay. Trusty is who he is. One of the most fervent supporters is Colonel John Blitch, a Renaissance warrior who also holds a doctorate in psychology, was a Delta Force sniper, and is one of the few men to hold Doomsday in his hands while commanding a nuclear weapons battalion. This guy says he believes Barber's story and that the U.S. has absolutely recovered UAPs. Let's go. So, according to Barber, this happened around September 11th, 2001. I left the Air Force and was sent out to California at that time to begin establishing my cover bases as an independent contractor so that I can serve. What was coming down the line next for me as the path which led to the UAP subject, he says he was contracted as a helicopter pilot and was part of a team assigned to retrieve crashed aircraft at an undisclosed testing facility in the desert. A lot of the work we did was on what I call the range, where the U.S. government and its private partners used to test all kinds of things, weapon systems and resilience to weapon systems of certain craft. And so you see a lot of exciting things. Okay, this is according to Barber. He said that's where he started seeing the strange things. It's always interesting out there, he said. Things come in and out of sight. Things disappear for a moment and reappear. Things seem to move very quickly. Things change color. They change shape. He said his team recovered things that were exotic in nature. We know they were classified craft, he said, and we recovered them and took them back to where they go. Just visually looking at the object on the ground, you could tell that it was extraordinary and anomalous. It was not human, he said. Barber said he got his first glimpse of a non-human pretty quickly. A non-human. I was a helicopter pilot, and I operate with a 150 to 200 foot long line. So I got within 150 feet of this object. That's when he saw it. I saw an egg, a white egg, he said. There was no engine, there was no thermal signature. I was operating at night when I finally came in to pick it up. So I'm working under night vision goggles at the time, and it was quite clear. I flipped them up, flipped them down, and looked at it a couple of different ways. Barber said the metallic pearly white object was about the size of an SUV. It's interesting because in one of the videos I saw when Ross Coulthart finally put out small clips of this before the article, um, I'm pretty sure I recall hearing 20 feet in length. So now we, there's some differing stuff there now. I can tell you that the reaction by my team, we all knew we were dealing with something extraordinary. Barber said he was never told the craft wasn't human. Okay. I'll tell you that because of the reaction of my leadership structure and because of my experience working in that capacity, everyone involved was convinced that we were seeing and dealing with was, in fact, exotic in its origin. I will also tell you that during this process, over the last couple of years, it's been confirmed to me by ranking members of the UAP task force that what we were working with that night was, in fact, NHI, or non-human intelligence, and it was not a unique experience. So it's happened more than once, not necessarily to him, although he does say him as well, right? It would be taken to a secure facility, but my role stops once I deliver it. That's not his only brush with the unexplained. He said there was another object. One was the egg. The other is what I call an eight-gon. The eight-gon was essentially a flying disc with what looked like 8 delineated sections when looking down. And I can tell you what it looked like from looking down because that's primarily how I saw it because I'm a helicopter pilot. We did recoveries with the eight-gons. There was more than one that made its way to the ground on this particular operation. So he's talking about other times he's seen some what appear to be odd things like a disc-shaped object. As I got closer to the site, I started feeling odd. I started feeling extremely emotional. And the closer I get, the more the emotion starts to overwhelm me. I feel this intense hybrid of sadness and happiness and beauty and song. And it was very disruptive to me because I had a very practical responsibility at the time to operate a helicopter in the mountains at night. And I began wondering, what was wrong with me? He said it did not feel like an emotional breakdown, but rather something entirely different. I felt like something connected with me. I felt like something had tuned into me and my soul and was providing me some sense of guidance on what to do and how profound what I was doing was. It was so overwhelming, I began to cry. That's not good while you're flying that chopper. It was a very feminine energy. I'll tell you that it felt like the spirit of God, but not in any masculine sense. And it wasn't like a soul. It was like a frequency that I was connected with. And whatever that force was since that night, it has stayed with me. And as crazy as this sounds, it's what's guiding me now, and it's what's providing protection for me. Okay.
I kind of like that last little bit.
Yeah. Psionics. What the hell's psionics? He said his mission that night came from no accidental crash. He claims the UAP was summoned by a special team with special abilities. The psionics. Psionics, according to Barber, are people with a predisposition for extratemporal abilities and sensitivities, more commonly referred to as people with alleged psychic powers. In the program, there was certainly a desire to explore the idea that perhaps UAP could be summoned, could be communicated with, could be controlled, and could be persuaded to land, all by deploying people with psionic abilities to interface and communicate with the UAP. Now, we've heard this before. We have, something somewhat similar, remote viewing, but Stephen Greer, regardless of what you think of him, trust him, don't trust him. He runs or used to run some event where he takes a small group of people out to the desert. They essentially go camping for the weekend, and he kind of does this as well. I've been hearing that about him last decade, maybe.
So like,
And they basically are sitting there. It's like meditation. And the way Greer's described it is you basically, you close your eyes, you meditate, kind of drown everything out. He goes, you envision yourself in space and looking at like our solar system. And when you're looking at it, focus on where the Earth is compared to the sun, and then kind of zoom into where you're at, what state or country or where you're at on this planet, and just kind of picture like a map, like you're zooming in right to where you are. And he says that is how you summon UAPs.
Okay,
Now,
so no mescaline or peyote involved. Okay.
Who knows? I doubt it. But there's been some stuff out there from some people that have gone to these, and I recall one of the accounts they're saying he's not that nice of a guy. It was weird for them. It wasn't what they expected. He's they didn't care for him. It sounded like so.
Okay. Interesting.
Yeah. So psionics, in the program, there was certainly a desire to explore the idea that perhaps UAP could be summoned, could be communicated with, could be controlled, could be persuaded to land, all by deploying people's psionic abilities. Okay. It's something Barber said he has witnessed firsthand, and it looks a lot like meditation. He firmly believes psionics capable of making a mental and spiritual connection to technology. It's something another decorated special forces operator and colleague of Barber says he has witnessed too. I've had the pleasure of meeting multiple psionic assets, said Don Paul Bales. I've seen them function. I know that they're capable of doing what they're doing. It's an established fact that the Pentagon has had an interest in psychic abilities. We all know that. What it calls remote viewing for military purposes. The famed Project Stargate spent years studying the subject, and despite the CIA's yielded nothing, they claim. He also says he and his team have suffered injuries. We transported what we called mysterious boxes all the time. I have no idea. It could have been empty. It probably wasn't empty, but we don't know what was inside the boxes. He and his team, however, were authorized to use lethal force to protect their shipments should someone attempt to seize them. After this particular mission, I and everyone on my team got extremely sick, like physically ill, in the hospital. Within weeks after this, I lost every hair on my body, which they call alopecia. Will Smith. I also lost the skin on my arms, so the skin's actually falling off your body. I ended up developing a severe heart murmur that I'd never had before. Wow. Last year, Ross Coulthart introduced Barber to Stanford University immunology professor Dr. Gary Nolan. We've heard Dr. Gary Nolan's name with the UAP stuff. He's been studying anomalous injuries among U.S. military personnel for years at the behest of the CIA. He agreed to review decades of Barber's medical records. The acute injuries were obviously severe. I mean, the report reads like a bit of a horror show, to be quite honest to me. The first thing that came to mind was Barber was exposed to some kind of radiation. Yeah,
that's
sounds like it.
Literally what I was thinking, radium.
Yeah. To this day, Barber's nervous that he may have some form of cancer. Assuming Barber and his team were exposed to radiation emanating from the mysterious box they transported, could it have come from one of the many radioactive materials used regularly by the military? Barber doesn't believe so.
That's really where my head was going when you were describing his symptoms, like the skin falling off his arms. It's what happened to the poor radium girls.
Yeah, well, I mean, it's prolific throughout UAP stories. Anyone that's been around an alleged UAP, tons of them have this, similar issues that they indicate just by looking at the person, probably radiation,
That wouldn't surprise me.
No,
that
not at all.
radiation's used for some form of almost a propellant or engine type system.
Yeah. I mean, hopefully we hear some stuff this year on this. So he continues, can I put on my speculative hat for a minute? Okay, so Air Force, let's say, knew that what we were working with that night had any type of radiological signature. There's a whole set of processes that we're trained in on how to deal with that from a hazmat perspective. And the fact that none of this was apparent that night tells me they didn't know what was in the box and it got turned on or turned off. It leads me to believe in hindsight all these years that it may have been something non-human origin or exotic. Let's just say exotic. It may have been something exotic that activated or still had some fallout. He still remains under care, treatment, and proper evaluation. Now, he claims that they didn't know, not they meaning him and his crew, but the people telling him to pick the stuff up, government, has no clue what's in there. And I say, yes, they did.
Of course.
Because he's trying to argue that, oh, I don't think they knew what was in there because we have these procedures in place for us to do all this stuff, blah, 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 if there's a hazmat issue, right? But they didn't tell us anything, so they didn't know what was in the box. It wouldn't be the first time they lied to you. You're a number to them. So am I. It's what it is right now. So, yeah, if you don't need to know, you don't need to know. Oh, well, if it's radioactive, then I need to know. Well, you think you need to know, and I think you need to know. They don't care if you know. They don't care if you don't know.
That.
So,
yes.
Stolen hard drives. It wasn't just the U.S. government interested in using Barbara's expertise in UAPs and psionics. Barber has expertise in psionics now. They didn't mention that when they were talking about psionics prior to that. His skills were also needed by private companies involved in the program. His assignment soon took a turn. We were deployed on a particular task to recover what we call HVTs, or high-value targets. Those HVTs were Panasonic tough books. The sensitive material that is on these tough books has to do with sensor data, video that was illegally captured during some of these operations, some of which may be incriminating or classified now. Those laptops allegedly contained illegally obtained sensor data from the UAP recovery missions, sensor data that was illegally recorded during UAP recovery missions in violation of top secret protocols. He said the company contracting him was determined to cover up the laptop's existence. We recovered the first two tough books, got back to our base location and went through them and took photographs. Then we discovered that the hard drives were missing. Would you go through them and take photographs of if the hard drives were missing? Are you saying you just took photographs of the tough books? I get that. Maybe serial numbers. Cool.
Yeah.
Hopefully nothing inside, because that's kind of what it sounds like he's alluding to, but the hard drives are missing. He said the next piece of intelligence that came through led them to a lake where they found the hard drives in a sealed steel container 25 feet underwater. Yeah, so someone's going through a lot of effort in order to hide these things. What was a straightforward recovery mission proved to be anything but, he says. And that's when things took a nefarious turn. So the very next time we went out, things got strange. My spidey senses, my intuition was on high alert because our intel contact changed. The rhythm and style of our intel changed. As we got closer to the day in which we were going to deploy, intelligence kept changing. That raised my concern, but we ended up going anyway. When we got there, the HVTs were gone, and it was clear that shots had been fired. He was worried. He was in significant danger and possibly being set up. We were being prepared for the one thing that we've always offered employers, and that is plausible deniability, and that we were perhaps going to be the hidden hand that gets severed. Maybe. Bales, a special forces veteran who was working on Barber's team at the time, said he was concerned about a potential setup. Yes, setup is a mild term. The fact that people have lost their lives involved in this type of activity and the links to which people have gone to suppress politically uncomfortable truths. He was convinced his former employer or someone pretending to be them was determined to kill him. Barber was then on the hunt, using his skills' vast network of contacts to determine, who was behind the shadow war with these missing hard drives. Last spring, Barber and his team were in Washington, D.C., conducting surveillance and eventually confronting one of their prime suspects. I reached out to the director of security for the particular organization and a sister organization and set up a meeting with them. He was basically told to forget it. If he had any knowledge at all, it was clear he was trying to distance himself from it, said Barber, meaning this guy he talked to. He didn't want to get involved, but he did provide some advice where I should go. Let's see. Startling UAP footage. He says he's been recruiting individuals from within the program and forming a new team in coordination with government agencies. Barber would not name the various agencies. So some of this...
Alphabet Soup.
Yeah, possibly. They talk about psionic assets, things like that. Said 4 or 5 minutes into the operation, so this is a different operation here. The psionic goes, something's going on, something's wrong, get me out of here. And right about that time, our Overwatch, Fred, looked up to the sky and saw a disc, a classic lenticular-shaped disc. What Fred Baker and the rest of the team saw was an oval egg, exactly like the one Barber had a previous encounter with. News Nations independently obtained video recorded during one of those UAP retrieval ops. Extraordinary footage shows a view from the belly of a helicopter retrieving one of those mysterious eggs. The egg resembles a UAP encountered by U.S. Navy fighters off the East Coast in 2015. Possible connection there. Maybe not. That's about it. Now, I have another video. We're not going to play it yet. First, let's find out Stephanie's take on what's going on here. The video, and now that you have the backstory from the article, what do you take? What do you take from this?
Man, there's a lot going on with that. Honestly, it's probably some of our tech. I don't know, man. Like it is interesting.
I've been seeing videos, just not even ads, just people talking about this stuff. Not this particular stuff, but it's like TikTok videos. Something about some egg-shaped sized, basically really small, essentially a nuclear reactor for your home to power it. You don't have to worry about all this shit anymore. Now, true or not, I don't know, but egg shape.
I've seen that.
Yeah. Well, I don't know. Let me give you what I'm thinking here. Okay. And I keep an open mind. Let me share the screen again. Let's pull this video back up. Just so we have it here. Boom, there it is. All right. So now that we have some backstory, I look at this. Okay, this helicopter's at 150 feet altitude, right? So 150 feet above the ground. He said he was using a 150-foot long rope. We see what looks to appear like an egg in some type of saddle or sling attached
How
to
did it get into the saddle?
Would assume people put it in there. Right.
I wonder why there's no video of that.
You will get there. You lay that saddle down, you just gently roll the egg onto it, and there you go, should be that easy. So we're seeing what appears to be an egg-shaped something in this sling or saddle. We have a cable or a rope suspending this thing. I'm going to tell you the problems I have with this. There's too many problems, I think. Number one, an egg.
An egg.
And we'll get more into that too. Number two, this cable. This is 150 feet long. Now, I'm firmly aware. I'm looking at this from this odd camera view. The camera is clearly right next to this rope or cable. maybe it's longer than what I'm seeing here. Maybe it's just kind of an optical illusion, but this doesn't look like 150 feet to me.
That would have to be a huge thing.
Well,
that was 100. I'm just saying.
No. The length of this cable, this rope,
I know
is 150 feet.
I know, but just the size of the object at the bottom of it is very large.
Well,
for it to be 150 feet.
Yep, size of a car, that he says, but other things I was reading said it was about 20 feet in length.
Oh, okay.
That would make sense, but he says in the interview, the size of a car. That's much different.
Yeah.
Cars aren't 20 feet,
No,
right? So, you know, so I'm questioning the length of this cable, this rope. Next, the light. Okay. So we're supposed to believe this is infrared, and that's fine. It probably is. Maybe it's not. I would assume the strong light source you're seeing right here in the middle, all this white, is most likely the infrared lights. So they're naked to the invisible eye, but on camera, boom, there you go. I'm assuming that's what this nice circle is. Now, here's where my problem comes in. There's a light source, clearly, because we have a shadow over here. And you see that as they bring it down and positions change. That's the shadow. That tells me there's a light source way up here somewhere. You know, obviously up on a diagonal from that somewhere. Is this supposed to be the light from, does the helicopter have a spotlight? Is that what this is supposed to be in here? Or is this supposed to be the infrared? Just questions. And I question all that for a reason. I don't see any indication that this video is actually from a helicopter. I don't see any landing skids. I don't see any flashing lights, the typical strobes that are on airplanes and helicopters. Helicopters have a lot more of them. Now, if this is a true story in an operation such as this, they're transporting this from one location to another. Well, most likely, if this is true, this is some alien craft, they'd go dark. They wouldn't even have those flashing lights on, guaranteed. I've seen it around my house. So I can get behind that. But no landing skids. Okay. Well, that would make sense because this camera is right next to that cable. And if you've ever seen these helicopters like the Chinooks, especially the Blackhawks, come down and pick something heavy up on a rope like this, there's a latch, a hook underneath on the belly of the craft. It's not on the side hanging out like the Coast Guard's hoists on helicopters are for just picking up humans. Not on the side. These are, they get low. This stuff's already set up, ready to go. Crew on the ground drags that cable over and whack, hooks it on, and they take off. So this camera is clearly very close to that cable. It's on the belly. So I want to know, is that a thing? Cameras on the belly of these? I would assume it's built into the craft with maybe some type of plexiglass or plastic, to protect the camera. So it's just flush with, but who knows? I would assume it is flush. But are these cameras a thing mounted onto the belly of these?
Comment down below.
Yeah, if you know, let us know.
Yes,
I've not heard that before. Doesn't mean it's not. Okay. Doesn't mean it's not. Now, here's a really big problem I have. Nowhere in this video do you see any dirt, dust flying up, leaves, twigs, bushes. We can't tell what's on the ground there. If those are,
there's nothing.
If those may be bushes, nothing's moving.
Yeah.
So why? Let's play it. There's no dust. There's no nothing. And you hear the helicopter. So I will say that video does kind of look legit as far as it's actually being a helicopter, right? And I'm saying that because I've seen hundreds of videos of hoisting, from helicopters. And now it's usually the Coast Guard videos. I've seen tons of them. The hoist is on the side and they're lowering them. So you have the camera crew there and they're videoing all this stuff, and they've set their own cameras up to video this stuff. And them setting that down and how, how that camera's moving according to the ground and all that stuff, it does look legit, like this is actually happening. That doesn't mean this is what we're being told it is. We don't know, right? They've given us nothing but the short video. The next problem I have, and Stephanie just mentioned this, where the hell again is the rest of the video? Why don't we see, we didn't take video of anything prior to this. What about after? I'd love to see another minute of video after this. You know why? Because there's either a crew on the ground and you're going to see this chopper get super low to the ground, which is what it appears it's in the spot of doing right now. And it's going to get very low. A guy's going to get underneath, boom, unhook that cable, and they're going to take off. Or they're going to stretch that cable out as far as they can so that they don't get any slack coming up, and they're going to land and someone's going to hop out and do it. Or they have some type of manual disconnect, remote disconnect inside.
Yeah.
But we don't see any of that.
No.
I would love to see a human on the ground in this video so we could see a very good reference in size to this egg-shaped object. But again, this doesn't even look like 150 feet to me. No. So I don't know.
I'm not sold.
So I have too many issues with this. I've said it since Saturday. The second I saw this was, I guarantee you, I could recreate this video in my home, in my front yard. I guarantee it. It wouldn't be hard.
I've seen people literally put a fucking plastic stool over their head, zoom the camera real close in on themselves, and they look like they're looking out a fucking window of an airplane. Like, it's all perception. So I absolutely believe you.
Yep. I know I can.
I fucking believed that shit for a second. I was like, damn, oh.
So what do you've heard what I'm kind of thinking. I'm leaning towards, I don't effing know. You got to keep in mind, there's no indication here this is an actual helicopter. This could be a crane for all we know. If anything, how do we know this isn't a helicopter bringing in a legit 20-foot sized plastic egg, maybe for some Easter event 20 Aprils ago, and the other side of this may have a big cutout door on it, and they set this thing up and put in a comfy couch, and the Easter bunny goes there on Easter and sits in it, and all the kids come and get their little plastic eggs that pop out of the bunny's butt. We don't know.
Or, hear me out. It's not an egg shape at all.
What is it? An avocado shape?
It just doesn't look like too much like an egg shape. It looks like it's a cylinder that is like not perfectly cylinder. Like, I don't know.
I mean,
it looks like if there's a bulge in the middle, but it's not like.
Looks like an egg shape to me. Looks exactly like an egg. It looks exactly like an egg I buy in the store.
A little more. Like, have it roll around a little more.
Here, let's just back it up to the beginning of this video.
Okay. Well, maybe right there.
Let's let's play it. Let's look.
Copter.
Yeah. It's wider back here, narrower up here. So everything I'm seeing here looks legit.
Whoa.
Everything I'm seeing here looks legit, but where's all the dust flying around? If you're a helicopter pilot and you know about this, at 150 foot, I mean, we have to assume this is either a Chinook or a Black Hawk style helicopter, large, powerful, right? If this rope is 150 feet, helicopter pilots out there, let us know. If you hover in a helicopter such as a Chinook or a Black Hawk at 150 feet, is that wash hitting the ground from that height or not? And you got to remember, they're in a hover. They're using that thing's working extra to keep that thing suspended there. They're just boom, boom, chopping through the air. So I don't know. You've heard my perspective on this so far. What do you think? from what we've seen before we watch the next video.
I'm in agreement with you completely. Like, this is strange. Can you probably recreate it? Absolutely. I mean, we can recreate damn near anything these days.
Well,
like, AI is getting good.
What I'm saying is a 10-year-old could recreate this. I can go to Home Depot, get some cable that looks just like that. I actually have some here I used to use for hanging lights. I could cut out a piece of plastic or an old t-shirt, a perfect rectangle as a sling. I can get some smaller whatever I want to use to attach from the cable to the sling, because you can't see that well. And I go get a store-bought egg, throw it in there. I go in my my front yard at night, carve out some grass, make just dirt, mud, whatever, maybe pounce it down for a few days. And I could take a camera on a very small tripod, zoom in, take this video, same thing. And guess what? When I'm done, I don't need to purchase an infrared camera. There's a million filters I could use through editing programs, especially ones I use.
No, you're right.
I could make it look just like this. I mean, it's easy. A 10-year-old could do this. So where's the proof in this that the narrative we're being fed, once again, is what they say it is?
Just this 5-second clip. Why? Where's the more compelling, damning evidence? Like, this isn't.
I saw.
Isn't giving me shit.
Yeah, I saw a quick video. Someone came out and was talking about this, and they're like, this thing is extraordinary. Just watch the video. He goes, but it's not about the video. Forget the video for a second. He goes, what kind of proof do you guys need to believe this is real? Do you want them to wheel out a flying saucer on a flatbed? And I'm sitting there like, yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. We're getting the same crap here we've been getting since 2017. Videos that are too short, that show nothing else. We're being fed a narrative that we're told we need to believe or should believe. And not one video.
The same thing at every congressional hearing.
And not one of these videos that's come out from 2017 has the narrative matched what we're actually seeing there. We're being told this thing's moving at incredible speeds, but when you look at it, it's not. Then Mick West comes out and does a total scientific debunking of them, shows his data so you can verify it, and shows that given the data in these videos that show, the altitude, the speed of these aircraft and stuff, and you're looking at the ocean with this object moving, well, that's easy. You can determine that speed of that thing from any distance in between 20,000 feet and 0 feet, right? And prove that even at its fastest, it's not extraordinary. And it really feels like that's what we're seeing here.
Yeah.
It really does.
It's a shame.
It is a shame because I'm now a little less trustworthy of Ross Coulthart. Had he worded this a lot differently, then I'd be on a different path here. But he blew this up to be earth shattering or groundbreaking or whatever he said. Yeah, I'm not seeing that. I'm not seeing that. So let's turn that one off. Let's bring up our last video here. Oh boy. Whoa. Started that video early. Let's remember here, okay, what I just said. I said what I just said before I ever saw this video. Okay? This is I took this recording from TikTok, so you can see here who this was, D3XL, and I thank him much for this. Let's take a look. Oh man.
Yeah.
So is that fake? Let's watch that once more. Watch the rope. Watch the rope. The way that rope's moving, especially at the end there, it doesn't look natural from hundreds of videos I've seen of those ropes lowering objects, whether people or supplies, at the end. And even in the other video, the real one we just watched a few minutes ago, that one looks 100% legit as far as how that rope and the object are moving when it goes to the ground and on its way down. This, I'm pretty sure, this guy probably faked faked it on purpose. He probably faked it on purpose to show it could be faked. And you see different things being used here.
I feel like, obviously, because he has eggs. Oh my God, stop that.
Obviously, because he has what? Stephanie's gone. All right. I'm trying to scroll down. I wanted to see if I could slide this a little bit,
up, motherfucker.
but I can't. So what were you saying there?
What is his little caption? Leaked egg UAP.
No, that's mine. I had to upload something real quick so I could play it. But yeah, and as you go along in the video a little bit, you see, I mean, once the light's shining really good on this, you can see it totally looks plastic, right? Now, there's no claim that this one is a real thing, right? A real UAP or anything. This is just something someone put out on TikTok, and I think it's funny because I'm pretty sure this one is faked, and I thank him for putting that out. Proves my point. So, do you have any less faith now than you already did?
Oh yeah.
You know,
we're at zero faith.
Yeah, the News Nation one, I mean, it does look legit, the way everything's moving and acting there, but you know, there's still too many red flags. Where's the flying dust? There's nothing moving on the ground. There's nothing.
The rest of the fucking video?
Yeah, we need more of the video. Roll the stuff out on a flatbed for us all to see.
Please.
That's what we need. Especially, I feel like we're at a time where trust is so low in everything and everyone. Like, we shouldn't be getting anything less. You need to demand more. If you want more out of this, you need to demand more. Don't give in to this crap. This might be something. I'm not saying it's not. But again, not enough info.
Agreed.
Not enough info. I'm not convinced that's 150 feet either. Really not. Really not. So, yeah, that's it. You know, this just came out Saturday. Let us know what you guys think. Like, share, subscribe, comment. Want to hear your opinions on this. I really want to know about cameras mounted under these types of helicopters with the lifting capabilities.
Yes, please.
It would make sense because they could and probably do have a monitor, you know, up in the cockpit that is showing the night vision for when they do pick up, you know.
I mean, for safety, that would make complete sense.
Yeah. So I'm not discounting that, but there's no data on the screen. Which, okay, they remove it, but there's no data. Rope doesn't look long enough. There's no people on the ground. We can't see anything.
Would just like to have a perspective of someone who's been there.
Yeah.
That would be nice.
It'd be nice. If you have an obscure story of your own, other side, obscuredr1@gmail.com. Send us an email, type story in the subject line, and tell us your story. We'll share it for you on here. You can also come on yourself and share your own story, and we can talk anonymously if you'd like. That would be great. If something else comes out on this, which I hope it does, we'll let you know. But the other thing I want to say, it's been 2 days since this has been out, and guess what? I've not seen it on any news channel.
Nope.
Yet.
Wonder why.
Well, the other problem I have, why would someone like Ross Coulthart pick inauguration weekend to put something like this out? Groundbreaking or shattering video. Why would you wait till inauguration weekend? It doesn't make sense to me. All right. That's it for
Ride on the thunder. I don't fucking know.
Yeah, who knows? No, because the inauguration would just totally, no pun intended, it would just totally trump this. Nobody's gonna cover this. So,
I know. I'm so
with that little joke brought in, that's it for us tonight. Peace out. I'm gonna go have an egg.
Thanks for watching. Be sure to check back with us often for new episodes. Feel free to drop a comment, and don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to Obscured Reality.